Hello there and welcome to Heart Explained Therapy. Now, why do I care about your mental health? Why would somebody care about somebody else? And why would they want to promote videos that talk about mental health and try and snap you out of your belief system, your reality that you're in? Now, I have to be very, very honest with you. The reason that I initially cared was because I was technically helping myself. That's right. Now, if you think about this, it's not such a selfish, horrible action as it seems to be. Have you ever been in a situation where the tension has been present? It's been quiet, silent, and you've said something to cut the ice, to make people laugh maybe, or just said something to start a conversation. Now if you think what's really going on, you're the one who's actually feeling awkward, because you're the one who's saying or changing the behaviour, the environment around you. And this happens all the time. We constantly act for our own benefit, and even when we act on the behalf of giving to somebody else, it's still because we like to do that and we feel good doing that. So my first sort of look into mental health was to help myself, and I discovered that I liked helping other people, and I realised that, or presumed that they was all in the same amount of pain that I'm in, mentally. So I thought that I was, possibly unconsciously, thought that I was helping myself by doing this. And really, they wasn't feeling or thinking the same as me. They probably had similar sort of experiences because we're all human and we all go through the same sort of emotions. But they're connected to different things, and that's why they seem so different. But the reason now, when I'm conscious and I'm doing that, I realise I don't actually have to help anybody. And in a way, I can't really help anybody, and that's quite scary to think. I can say a few things that can lead you or make you start to think, see a different perspective, but I can't really grab you and help you in the way that a proper sort of yourself would do it, your inner dialogue would do it. I can't be your head and be your thoughts. Now this was quite sad to find out, that I couldn't help people like this. And also there's another part of me where I've got to a very good stage where I've got some good sort of foundations that are protecting me from slipping back into mental health. So I'm actually quite feeling 90% of the day per day, feeling strong enough to cope with my stuff without projecting too much outwards, as in the help and the everybody else is suffering, everybody else has got mental health, God, why can't they see that they've got mental health, and all this baloney that happens. But now I don't need to help, and I know that I can't help, but I'm still making videos. And this is my new reason, which is possibly really unconscious and something that I'll find out and probably make a video in 10 videos time. But it's because of what mental health does in the world, in the external world. The consequences of mental health are catastrophic to all life. You see, a child would not be abused if it wasn't for mental health. The person who is abusing the child wouldn't have been abused, or wouldn't have had been in the place where that reality would need to exist to carry out that action if it wasn't for mental health. There wouldn't be people dying of so many physical ailments, because I have a theory and a philosophy that I believe is scientifically backed up now, that show that when you are negatively thinking, You are releasing toxins in your body that cause all these medical conditions that we know of. And this list just goes on and on. Believing in a religion that causes a war and makes you fight or disown your son or daughter because they're a different sexuality than that you believe that this book should tell you about is a mental health condition. And honour killing is a mental health condition. Suppressing women is a culture, and culture is a mental health condition, and it all literally spirals into the world is in this mental health condition. And it's a mental health condition that I know doesn't have to exist. It doesn't need, you don't need to connect this horrible dark soul to life is so bad and I have to project all this pain and anger. I see so many people fighting now. You can't say a simple phrase like Black Lives Matter is racist, even though of course it's racist. Black Lives Matter segregate one colour meaning more than another life. Now this, as I say it right now, I know that the majority of you think that that is racist, but if White Lives Matter is racist, then Black Lives Matter has to be racist, and All Lives Matter has to make more sense. Now you can say that black people get abused more than white people, so that's why it's important that we drag and polarise Black Lives Matter to the forefront to bridge this gap. But women have been suppressed more than any black person has ever been suppressed in the history of humanity. The woman is more of a victim than any race, and they project the same way into feminism, and they're getting on an even keel now, but I still believe we're 50 years away from having these great women in great positions and great thinkers. But the point is not the polarisation to the pain and the suffering. It's the polarisation to the middle ground of understanding the flaws and the mistakes. Religion is mental health. An atheist that doesn't believe in religion is mental health. And also I would say that some types of spirituality where you sell some sort of dialogue, some sort of ideology to someone can also be a mental health condition. It covers up and it's giving you the significance that you crave in your life, and that's an egoic mind at play. Now, one of the reasons I say that is because most of spirituality say that young people who get cancer or victims of rape, actually this is a past life debt, karma debt that they're paying off. And they say this as if this is just true, and it means that God stays in this beautiful loving light. Now that doesn't sit true with me, but I'm also aware that I can't say anything that's truthful, ever. But I also have to confront certain things and say you can't say that either, and you can't certainly put it down as an ideology and sell it as a fact. And I'm not talking about we need science to measure everything for us, because there's parts of that you can't prove. And I think that the way forward with mental health is to understand that all these pockets are just madness. They're just you projecting your feelings and your pain onto the external world, onto another human being. And we're all looking for the same thing, which is significance. It is actually this love that we're looking for. And when people say this, I also cringe, because it's like, oh God, what does this mean that we have to do? What does it mean to all be connected? And it doesn't actually change a lot. It means that you have an idea and a philosophy, and you try and live by that philosophy, but there's certain things that that philosophy has to include, and there's lots of things it definitely can't include, and it's all the mistakes of the past that we know is wrong. Terrorism is wrong. We know that as a fact. Murder is wrong. We know that. And there's other things that are just on the surface that we technically believe is true. We technically believe it's right, but it's not. It's projection. It's your belief. Like immigration is a great one. Immigrants can't come into the UK ever. They shouldn't be allowed. The borders are created by man. Do you not understand that it's fundamentally wrong at the deepest root of common sense and logic? We created the border. We created the separation and segregation. That is a bit of paperwork, a document, an EU piece of law, a UK piece of law that we created. And the problems with finances at the moment, money is one of the biggest things that people worry about, and we created that. Money is going to bring you no more happiness than a flash shiny barbecue in the garden. It's impossible. It's implausible if you know the knowledge. The feeling is only ever going to come within, and the feeling is only going to come within when you start to realise that if you connect most of these things to your mind and you want them and you attach to them and you desire them and you think that you're actually projecting some sort of truth, you are stark raving mad. And the history is there to show us what we've done wrong, the mistakes that we made everywhere, and we've got to project to a better future for our children and their children, to not live in such a chaotic world. And this year and last year, it looks like we're in for 2 years minimum of complete madness. And that's why I give a shit about mental health, and that's why I try and do these videos to hopefully change someone's idea if they think they've got life nailed. And if you're unsure, leave a comment at the end of the video asking what the truth is about a certain subject, because I can whittle it down to complete and utter illusions and gobbledygook, because that's the way the world is. Now, I've had to learn this very, very hard way, and I think the only way to learn stuff is through suffering. I don't think mankind, and I don't like the word mankind because it's suppressing women again, but humanity has to suffer, and now we're suffering big time, and something has to give. We can't keep rioting and sort of trying to bring down parliaments and, bring down governments. It's not through fighting that is ever going to solve anything. We've tried that in the past, it doesn't work. And it's not even polarised to love. Loving everybody isn't going to work either. There's got to be a neutral balance where this philosophy, this open-mindedness to life, where it's like, hold on a second, how truthful is all these factors? How good is my identity? What is my identity? Do I ever know my identity? Do I ever know the reason why I act? Break down these questions. Do away with mental health. And once we get rid of mental health, you would see hospitals and doctors' surgeries would be empty. And now that's not good for the pharmacies who sell drugs, is it? Because they're losing a lot of money, and they don't want you to turn to homely remedies or plant-based substances. They don't want you to exercise your mind and your body together, because it means they're going to have to make money elsewhere, and it means that they've lost a little bit of control. And this whole thing at the moment where COVID is trying to sort of irritate certain people to talk about conspiracy theories and saying how the government are trying to one whole mass control over us. The strange thing is, it's always been that way. This may highlight it as in you can't come out of your house now, but when you did come out of your house, you was only going to work for that made up money. You was only going to pay for a mortgage, which happens to be 30 years of life, which happens to be your lifespan. Everything is set up for you to stay closed as a slave in this horrible robotic world that we live in. And COVID has just woken you up to that fact, and it's caused chaos. And you kind of think, you know what? Maybe it was better when all the sheep didn't know the news, because it's pretty scary when we do. We realise we need a hierarchy system, but we need a hierarchy system that's honest. And can any human being be honest? I mean, ask that question. Can any human being constantly, all the time, because of this feeling of love and bliss that just goes through their body, can they always be honest and do what's right for every individual out there? I'm sorry, that's not plausible. Not in this reality and this time. And I think it would take 100 years of education, and education on specific stuff, psychology, mental health, awareness, how you work, to create this utopia. And if that's not going to exist at the moment, then we need to work on this open-mindedness to snap out of the mental health. If we can do this enough and share these videos enough, then we'll help people and the generations can get smarter. Because I think that's the most important thing about humans. We have the ability to be really, really smart. But at the moment, there's only 1% of people who I ever see that speak and their ego is detached from them. Or they speak and they put other people first. Or they take a question that is against their belief and they don't ego defend it. They don't look like they're dumbstruck. They take that information and they come back with the most rational, logical answer that they can and see if it works. This is a dream world, and it's always actually been a dream world, only at the moment it looks like a horrendous nightmare that we need to wake up from. And it's just waking up and accepting that your capabilities, what is possible. Today, the possibility of you will not be as much as the possibilities of you in 10 days' time. If you do the right stuff, if you open up your mind, you'll grow and you'll expand, and that can only lead to a better